What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Cosmic Wonder. I'm Warren Thompson, and it's been a pretty rough road for Blade so far in the MCU, going through several different rewrites, different writers, and talks about the movie quite possibly being canceled. Marhershala Ali may be walking out of it. Fortunately for us, that did not happen, and Blade is still a go with Marhershala Ali. Although it's had a lot of rough patches, it looks like things are a go with Blade now, and it looks like they might have locked down a final script. And last night, insider Daniel RPK released some details about the upcoming Blade film, along with some other projects which we'll talk about as well in this video. One of those being The Punisher. But let's dive into some of the details for the Blade movie, because it does seem like they have kept some things from the previous script, and there is a little bit of a tie-in to Kit Harrington's Dane Whitman from the Eternals. So if you love Marvel and want to stay up to date on the MCU, be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on any of the latest videos. We're also giving away a PS5 and Xbox Series X. More on the giveaway at the end of the video. So according to insider Daniel RPK, Blade is still going to be, first and foremost, I know a lot of people are wondering about this, rated R. It seems like Marvel Studios really doesn't have a problem anymore going into rated R. I mean, Deadpool 3 is obviously going to be rated R and will probably be pretty raunchy and violent, much like the other two Deadpool films. And this is coming from Marvel Studios and Disney, so they clearly have no problem doing rated R films, even in the MCU. And I think it's actually a very good thing, because some projects like Deadpool 3, like Blade, need to be rated R. There are some very serious characters in the comics who cuss a lot, who are very violent, and they need to depict those accurately on screen. So it's good to know that the mouse isn't really trying to water anything down. So Blade is still going to be rated R, and according to Daniel RPK, it's still going to be a period piece, meaning it is going to take place sometime probably pretty far in the past. And I'm okay with this, because in the comics, Blade was born in the early 1900s. Eric Brooks, aka Blade, was born on October 24th, 1929, so it would make sense that this would be a period piece. Now, I want to say hopefully they are staying true to a lot of what happened in the comics. However, in the comics, he gets bitten by Morbius, and I'm not sure really how they're going to include that in the MCU. Yes, Sony is playing nice with Marvel Studios and vice versa, but I'm not sure we're gonna ever really see Morbius in the MCU unless it's for a pretty good meme in Secret Wars. And the reason I bring up Morbius is because it sounds like he somewhat has to do with the plot that Marvel Studios is planning. Not saying they're going to include him, but in the comics, he is included. Daniel RPK goes on to say that Lilith is going after Blade's daughter's blood to create an army of daywalkers. Her weapon is the Ebony Blade. Now, there's a lot to say about the Ebony Blade and the connection to Dane Whitman from the Eternals, but first let's talk about the Daywalkers and Lilith. Now, there are two sides to Lilith in Marvel Comics, and the MCU is most likely going to adapt both based off of what we know so far. One is that Lilith is the first ever child, the first daughter of Dracula. Before he was even a vampire, Dracula was forced by his father to marry Lilith's mother, Zofia. However, once his father died, he renounced Zofia, and he forced her and his daughter, Lilith, to leave the castle so that he could marry the person that he truly loved, Maria. Now, unfortunately, Zofia would end up killing herself, and Lilith was raised by gypsies, particularly an elder gypsy named Gretchen. Unfortunately, once Dracula became a vampire, he went and he attacked the gypsies, and he killed Gretchen's son. So enraged, she put a curse on Lilith, turning her into a vampire that would make her hunt Dracula. And that was actually a part of the curse, that she had to hunt and depose her father, Dracula. But Lilith had very different powers from a normal vampire. She could walk out in daylight without being burnt or killed. She did not fear holy symbols and didn't need to sleep inside of a coffin with her native soil in it. She was what is called a daywalker, and at one point in time in the comics, Blade was a daywalker as well when he got bit by Morbius, a vampire who can go out in the daytime, can walk around in the sunlight, and not be killed. Hence, Daywalker. But there is another side to Lilith. She is actually the mother of all demons. The demon Lilith is an ancient demon goddess and sorceress, and she is actually rumored to be one of the main villains of the supernatural side of the MCU, rumored to interact with Mephisto on the supernatural side as well. But that's a story for another day. In the comics, she gives birth to demons, and they are called Lilin, and they all have lives of their own, but they always remain obedient to to their mother, Lilith. So this might be what is going to happen in Blade. Lilith might be having children and wants to turn them into daywalkers so she could take over the world, or at least kill Blade for whatever reason, for whatever story they decide to go with in the MCU. Again, I don't think Morbius is going to be in the film, and Dracula is half vampire, half human, which is why he can walk around in sunlight, but some way daywalkers are going to be involved according to Daniel RBK. So assuming Morbius doesn't pop up in the MCU, they're going to have to go with another character or another story of how these daywalkers are born. Now, he says Lilith is going to have the Ebony Blade, and that sounds awesome. We did see Dane Whitman get the Ebony Blade in the Eternals post-credit scene, but keep in mind that is present time, like 2022. Blade is going to take place in the early 1900s. So this is actually before Dane Whitman even gets the blade, but we know that whatever happens in Blade, it's going to end up in the hands of Dane Whitman. Now, for those of you who might not be familiar with what the Ebony Blade is, it's really cool, but it also kind of sucks. It's an incredibly powerful blade that is actually the counterpart to Excalibur, the dark counterpart. And according to the god Null, who created the symbiotes, the Ebony Blade is a symbiotic divine weapon with the potential to destroy worlds, and its true power is beyond the ability of mortals to comprehend or unleash. It's said that the Ebony Blade was forged by Merlin and Sir Percy from the Starstone meteorite. The Ebony Blade was enchanted to cut through any object, to prevent the death of its wielder, and to deflect any magic, but it carries a curse that slowly corrupts any user and causes a lust for violence, bloodshed, and death. It basically causes the wielder to turn into what they refer to as a bloodthirsty berserker. And it can actually resurrect as well. It's resurrected Dane Whitman plenty of times in the comics. And knowing this, it kind of gives you some context to the post-credit scene for the Eternals, where we see Dane Whitman super anxious of even opening the case to look at the blade. And that's because this blade has been in his family for generations upon generations. In fact, Sir Percy was one of his distant ancestors. What's interesting about the blade, according to Null, is that the blade can only be wielded by the impure of heart, drawing out their negative emotions. So it's an extremely powerful blade that can do a lot, but it comes at a very high price. However, Lilith, being a demon and a vampire, probably doesn't care too much about that. She probably just wants the blade for all of its abilities. So she'll use the Ebony Blade to fight Blade. And honestly, this sounds like it could be potentially a pretty awesome movie. A lot of people are really excited about this, and it sounds like Marvel Studios has locked in the script. Marhershala Ali is still Blade and apparently likes the script as well, so things are a go for Blade, and this story so far sounds pretty cool, but let me know what you think about it in the comments down below. Please don't forget to give this video a like and subscribe to the channel to stay up to date on the MCU, and if you subscribe and leave a comment, you're automatically entered in our giveaway for a chance to win a PS5, an Xbox Series X, some Marvel Legends items, and some DC items. The winner gets to pick one item, and we pick one winner at the end of each month. You can find us on Instagram and Twitter, and as always, thank you all so much for watching. Woof woof.